Hello and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. And we are in Shizune's route. And last time we made Misha start to get back to being friends with Shizune. And then we had a picnic on the roof with Shizune, and Kenji came into our room and started yapping about pizza. And something about looking through peepholes. And remember, you have to take this job seriously. Too many people think you can just slack off and that isn't important, and that it isn't important. That is a dangerous way of thinking.
Definitely. You can't take it too seriously. If you aren't always thinking big, aren't always thinking positive, and if you show any signs of weakness, people will start to think you're incompetent, you know? And soon you won't be able to do anything because your power is going to be delegated off to others piece by piece, and you'll be left with nothing. That's what happened last time. So, remember, it may seem like an easy job, but a lot of carnage can happen in this room. And out of it. Dealing with school staff, too. Even trying to get a budget report from a class rep can be a fight to the death sometimes.
Yeah, it's kill or be killed. There are no fights in the pits, and you take no prisoners. Are you sure about this? Is this right? You don't seem excited enough. I have to make sure it's getting through properly. Once more, with feeling. Oh no. Leave these poor girls alone. Shizune twists her hands like a maestro for emphasis, visibly intimidating the two girls standing at attention in front of us. I think this all started because one of them asked if she wasn't taking her job too seriously. Do you understand? Do you understand? Pretend I'm shouting.
Okay. The student council is so weird. Yes, sir.
Sir? Who are you guys talking to, anyway? It's not weird. You have to think of it as a job. If you want, think of it like they're paying you with the right to use this great office. You want another lecture?
No.
You can go now. Just like that, the hour-long student council orientation is over. Personally, I thought it was about 50 minutes too long, and also found it funny that it incorporated a tour of a school that we have all been going to for a while, but I guess it didn't hurt. I expect Shizune to fall back into her chair since she has been on edge all day, but she doesn't. She continues pacing the room restlessly. They still have a long way to go. Right now, they're a joke.
Eh?
What? They think they can be the new student council? They're so unfocused. You could really see their lack of experience. This was our best year yet. I don't think they have what it takes to be our follow-up act. And I know there are more of them than those two girls. Where are they? They're like the heavily marketed but mediocre big budget critically panned sequel to the acclaimed low budget sleeper hit. Eventually she does stop and sit down. Are you going to miss it?
Obviously. I'd be happier if I didn't have to leave too. I like being in the student council, even if it can be tiring too.
Yeah, it's definitely tiring.
Only because Shi-chan is always trying to do more than she has to.
You're forgetting that if I did the bare minimum, we wouldn't do anything all year except hand out flyers, collect surveys, and plan the next student council election so the next student council could sit around for another year of doing nothing. Asking me to let that happen? Don't be ridiculous. In a student council like that, there wouldn't even be any power to play around with. I'm just happy that even though I clearly need to ride them harder, those two aren't bad. Not there yet, but the new student council should be in good hands. How can you tell? After the festival, they asked me if we could also organize a Halloween event, like a haunted house or something along those lines. They had a bunch of other ideas as well. Of course, my response was no. I had Misha tell them to do it themselves if they wanted it so badly. They were angry for some reason. Of course they'd be angry if you said that, and Misha delivering the message wouldn't help. I was angry too. All of a sudden they want so much. If they wanted a haunted house or a traditional style cafe or a trip to the beach or whatever other cliche thing, Why didn't they try to organize it before? It was like they were taking advantage of me. I worked hard to organize those festivals, and in return they come to me with, that was nice, but can you do this now? How about doing this? It's what I really want.
Shi-chan was wrong though.
Right, they wanted to join the student council so they could make it happen. I made them feel jealous and riled them up. That can be a kind of motivation too. The desire to do something great spreads, even if it's to show me up. They decided to take me up on the challenge nonetheless. I'm impressed. Well, for now, I would have to see how it plays out a little longer in order to know for sure. She snaps her fingers suddenly, which sends Misha almost bolting out of her seat. Interesting, I guess it is possible to get used to. Wait, I guess it is impossible to get used to. That's right. We're going to have a party to celebrate passing the reins to the new student council, weren't we? Why not have that now? Or at least plan it now and have it tomorrow. But they're not even in charge yet. In fact, that's the first thing you told them. You're not in charge yet. It seems premature. Misha, what do you think?
I agree. It's too early. Plus, I don't think I could go anyway. Sorry. In fact, I was going to leave right now.
Why not?
No comment.
Come on, tell me.
Well, okay.
Way to not crack under pressure, Misha.
I thought about it, and even if I didn't want to go, I would say yes. Usually, it's the kind of person I am. I really should stop doing that, and this is a good place to start, I think. If it's a celebration to say goodbye, I don't want it. It would be too sad. I want to do something else instead. And after all, He-chan, you and Shi-chan will still be here tomorrow. It doesn't seem right. Besides, I have another school thing I have to do today. I can't drop them just like that.
We can postpone it.
No early goodbyes.
She looks very firm as she says it. Aren't you going to go now, though?
Oh, that's right. Okay, besides now, no too early goodbyes, okay?
I get it.
Okay, later.
With that, it's just Shizune and me left alone in the student council room, and it's suddenly dark. The sunset slowly changes to night as we sit in silence, both searching for something to say. Would it really be that bad? Yeah, I didn't think about it like that, but Misha's right. Parties set a mood, and it would be a sad one. A sad party doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. Why would it be sad? Is it a trick question? I'm sure of it. Shizune's eyes pierce into mine, waiting for my answer with detached, analytical stare that I haven't seen in a while, but feels familiar anyway. I consider my answer carefully, but also what it means for her to ask me. It could be that Shizune finds it depressing as well, or it could be that she doesn't understand why anyone would find it depressing. Both are equally plausible. I had a thought that when you graduate, that's it. It's going to be the end of the student council. I was wondering if you had the same idea. Don't be stupid. I look forward to it. I won't be a student anymore, so the expectations are going to be completely different. People's expectations of me and my expectations about everything else. It seems exciting. As for the student council, it should be in good enough hands. I don't have anything to be sad about. I don't think you're being honest. You looked upset about having to give the student council up now, not even a few weeks ago. It wasn't about leaving it to a bunch of newbies either. It was about having to stop doing student council work at all. Unexpectedly, Shizune smiles. So you're not disagreeing? Then it doesn't make sense. Why would you want to have a party about it? I'm trying to get over it. Besides, goodbye celebrations are very important. People say the first step is the most crucial, but following it through and finishing cleanly are just as important, right? I guess that is true. Anyway, I don't consider it goodbye, but it's still an event. You still have to go through the proper motions. Aren't you going to? Aren't I going to what? Kiss me, of course. Is that the proper motions? It would be normal, wouldn't it? The natural thing to do? It's time to act decisively. If I don't, I'm sure my heart will explode. I kiss her immediately, so quickly that I don't even have time to enjoy it. Even though she was prepared for it, Shizune blushes a deep red. I feel a similar heat rising in my neck and cheeks. Bro! You can't. You're on the table. Heathens! And you're next to the window. Anyone could walk by. I don't know the student council room, what floor it's on, but they could see you. That's a big ass window. I move in for another kiss, but as I do so, she moves backwards at the same time and impishly jumps onto the cabinet behind her. Alone in the total silence of the room, we just look at each other for a while. Ew, gross, stop that. You're monsters. This time I kiss her more deeply. Her lips are light and dry. Get that bitch some chapstick. And open a tiny bit. I'm only able to appreciate the sensation for a moment before Shizune starts kissing me back forcefully. Her bangs brush against my closed eyelids. As I let myself sink deeper into the kiss, I can feel the shape of her body through her clothes, which only makes me hold Shizune tighter. It takes some effort for the both of us to draw back from each other. We're both blushing, both from the kiss and the thought of what's to come. I mean, you could stop it. It's up to you. And I'm far from the only one breathing a little heavier. As Shizune begins to take off my tie, I start undoing her blouse. It takes a while to figure it out. I'd never really thought about how our school's blouses work before. Shizune's blouse is a little tight on her. Has he taken off anyone else's? I feel like they just take off their own stuff or whatever. Maybe he has. I haven't really paid attention, but he's really focusing on the fact that the blouse is hard to take off. And her arms get stuck for a moment because of it. I find myself peeling it off of her, although with the way she's trying to wriggle out of it at the same time, it isn't easy. The sight is a little comical. Put your shirt back on! When Shizune's arms are free, she slides out of her shirt, her skirt falling around her knees. How? Explain me how that's happening. You're, like, literally between her legs. How's it just falling? And she's sitting on a desk. This is nonsense. The logistics are really messing with me here. And after she unhitches it and works it off her legs, the only thing covering her now is bra and panties. Better burn those. Her figure is curvaceous and taut, and the healthy color of her skin contrasts with the black of her underwear. It's a wonderful sight, especially against the background of the moonlight through the window. She looks at my chest and works the buttons of my shirt one by one. The process is greatly slowed by my hands moving up and down her thighs. It's a little amusing to play with her like this. Why y'all put y'all damn clothes back on? Stop it. You make me feel awkward. I'm keeping all my clothes on. You guys can be naked if you want to. Actually, you can't. Put your clothes on. Finally, my shirt falls to the ground. Shizune surprises me by quickly pulling me in for a deep kiss, as opposed to a shallow one, without warning, but I quickly return the gesture. Now we're just staring at each other with no shirt on. Why are you bolder today than on the roof? Or in your room? I think of a good answer, but it isn't easy. How would I be able to respond to that even if I could? There's no way to, unless I were to say that bureaucracy really puts me in the mood. My shirt having been disposed of, they just threw it in the trash. Shizune moves onto my belt and I decide to help her undo it instead of answering her question. I don't think it would do much good to at this point. It's not hard to get off and falls to the ground with a metallic clunk. I move in for another kiss and begin to slide my hand up her side, but she suddenly lurches forwards, making me stumble backwards. The stiff edge of the table behind me was the furthest thing from my mind until I feel it stabbing into my lower back. Wouldn't that be kind of far away? Because you guys were here. Oh, maybe it's this table? I don't know. I hadn't even noticed it was there. It makes me grab Shizune a little tighter as we fall back onto the surface of the table. Oh! We just naked now. We just full naked now. Where are we even at? Are y'all on the table or are you on the floor? Hold back a sigh as Shizune victoriously holds herself above me. She's won again. I'm distracted until Shizune's bra falls on me. Seemingly like it dropped out of the sky. I end up laughing, despite how hard I try not to, and it's contagious enough that Shizune starts to as well. Freed from her bra. That's right, burn your bra, girl. Her breasts are larger than I thought. Even though they were noticeably large through her shirt already, she picks up her bra with her fingers as opposed to with her feet, and flicks it off of as her hands move over her body. Straddling me with her knees on the table. Oh, y'all are on the table. Got it. I catch a glimpse of my watch. It's only been a few minutes. Oh wait, I skipped some parts. It's okay, I'm not that worried about it. It feels so much longer. She eases herself downwards closer and closer until our bare chests are touching, her breasts feeling strange against the scar over my heart. They didn't draw the scar on you. What am I looking at? Those are just titties. When Shizune sits up, I feel myself... Uh-oh. I ain't reading that. I should just stop now and leave you stewing in your lust, says Shizune. What a freak. What a freak! She says as she starts... Nope. None of that. Bro, they're straight up fighting. This isn't even sexy time. They're just straight up fighting, but with genitals. This is a genital joust. Yeehaw. Suddenly she stops, almost falling onto me with enough speed that if she didn't catch herself, it would probably have knocked us unconscious. The worst situation possible if someone happened to walk in while we were knocked out. I'm surprised, but not enough to forget that we're both naked and the sudden painful interruption that just happened. Why did this have to happen? Was it intentional? To leave me stewing in my own lust? Shizune lets out her breath sheepishly, realizing it at the same time as I do. Oh. Sorry, I tripped or slipped or something like that. I had a thought. Is the door unlocked? She quickly gets off the table and bolts over to check and locks it, unlocks it, and locks it again, pulling on the knob just to make sure. And when she's finally sure, she makes an out-of-place motion with her hands. Safe. I'm glad you can take things so lightly. I didn't do it on purpose. Why don't you take the lead then? Come on. Come on. I grab Shizune by the shoulders and try to put her onto the table instead. Her brow scrunches in displeasure as the edge of the table pokes her in the back, just as it did to me. She opts to help herself onto it. Oh, hello? Oh, we just here. Here we just is. God bless America. Y'all can't just be doing that on the table, you heathens. I ain't reading that. That's just pornography. That's a new one. This man said I start pistoning into her. I've never heard that or read that in all my life. Just wanted to share. Her neck looks hella broken. All too soon the feeling ends and all I can do afterwards is that. She smiles almost dreamily. The sight makes me smile as well. Her legs slowly fall, allowing me to extract myself. How romantic, extracting yourself from your lover. Exhausted, I lean back against the desk and try to regain my breath before putting my clothes back on. I notice a dull, hot throbbing in my chest as I button my shirt back up. It puts a bad aftertaste on everything that just happened. It was lucky break that Misha couldn't be here, wasn't it? You're in an unusually joking mood today. I wonder what she had to do. Junie traces the air lazily with a finger and points to the door. Go see for yourself. Why don't you just tell me? It's more interesting if you see for yourself. Seeing is believing. Sure, clever. Maybe I will. What about you? Are you going to stay here all day? It's getting late. It feels like my last day as student council president, so maybe I'll sleep here tonight. It could be the last chance I have to sleep at my desk, like after a long day trying to meet a deadline. That is weird. I was about to say, why would you want to sleep on the desk? That's a weird catharsis you got there. I'll sleep in my bed. Sleeping sitting up is a skill, a very useful one. Right, I'm still sleeping in my bed. For a moment after I leave the room, I actually do consider what Misha is up to. Just because Shizune made it sound so secretive, as if she were building a time machine or something. But in the end, I decide not to. The night air is pleasant as at this time of year. It's refreshing and a little humid, but not so chilly as to make it uncomfortable to stay outside for a while. It's late enough for the courtyard to be all but deserted too. After Shizune and I said our farewells to each other, I'd set out to return to my dormitory room. I didn't even make it all the way there, though, before getting distracted. It doesn't seem like a bad idea to go see what Misha's up to. I had nothing better to do, no homework. I'm out of anything worth reading. On top of that, I simply want to know. This isn't my first time being in the main building after hours, but usually it says I'm leaving the place with Shizune and Misha after a long day at student council, not entering it alone. The atmosphere is quiet, a word I would not normally use to describe these halls. It's a little creepy. A light starts flickering up ahead. Seems like a horror movie moment waiting to happen. Feeling a hand on my shoulder, I stiffen reflexively. It's not Misha, or else there would be hands clamped over my eyes and a sing-song Guess Who accompanying them. So who is it? I hope it's not Kenji, and at least that it's someone I know. Or this will take a turn for the weird. Whoever it is quickly slipped in front of me. It's Shizune. What are you doing here? I'm so relieved that I forget to sign it. Shizune puts a finger up to her lips. I guess even though she can't hear, she has some idea of what loudness is, and can tell from my expression that I was being loud. And apparently being loud isn't a good thing right now. But then why is Misha her interpreter? Wait. Oh, very funny. Why are you here? I was waiting for you to come see. I knew you'd show up. It took you a while, though. You've been waiting here? Yes, but that isn't important. We have to be stealthy if we don't want Misha to detect us. Tell me if I'm not being stealthy enough, okay? With that, Shizune starts slowly tiptoeing through the middle of the hall. I pat her on the shoulder to get her attention. That's not stealthy. Why do we have to be stealthy? She refuses to answer, probably because signing and walking stealthily at the same time doesn't look easy. Before I know it, we're in front of our homeroom. Suddenly a sound like a crack of a whip pierces in the air, followed by a familiar expression of frustration. I'm sure a sound like that isn't good for my heart, not to mention everything sounds like a million times louder with how silent it is. It's coming from inside the room, and I sidled up to Shizune to get a look inside. Oh? That's a Muto. Can you stop throwing your pencil, please? How do you even throw a pencil that loudly? He looks very flustered. What an understatement. I sympathize with Muto. I was able to hear Misha's pen break the sound barrier even through a wall and a thick classroom door. It's probably blew out his eardrums and left an imprint on the wall.
I'm not throwing it. When I get nervous, I like to spin it around. But then I forgot I'm holding on to it, and...
It doesn't matter. Either way, there shouldn't be pencils flying around. I get enough of that during regular school hours. I don't need it after hours.
Right. Sorry.
Whatever. Just stop throwing or releasing or dropping things, please. Teachers have work too. I notice Shizune watching the same scene I am. Muto is yelling at the top of his lungs, and Misha is being Misha. I can hear them reasonably well through the door, but Shizune obviously can't hear anything at all, so I wonder what watching this is like for her. She must know, since she understands well enough to want me to see it too, but I have to wonder if she ever feels like she's missing out on something, having to work that much harder to understand what she's observing. It looks like she's taking supplementary lessons, is she? Yeah. I answer despite knowing the question is completely rhetorical. Misha told me she really wants to be a sign language teacher in the future. If she can get a recommendation, she can study overseas for it. That is why she's working so hard. Her grades are always kind of on the low side. Now I feel guilty. I haven't even thought about what I'm going to do yet. Neither have I. The cheerful way that she signs it is very unlike her. This is very obviously false. Let's get out of here. We don't want to be seen. It would be a problem if we were caught standing out here like idiots. Where? The student council room? Shaking her head, she slips into the classroom across the hall instead. Great hiding place. You're unusually sarcastic lately with the door closed. It's a good one anyway. Wasn't it interesting? Yes, but I'm not really surprised. I close the door behind us, prompting Shizune to laugh soundlessly as she slides into a chair for a second. It depresses me. I want to hear her real laugh. I have been looking down on Misha. I didn't think she had a goal at all, but it turns out that I was wrong. I made a careless assumption. I thought Misha was as aimless as I was. I was stupid. I lost. Shizune pauses to crack her knuckles, then folds her hands over each other and leans forward in her chair. In the abnormal quiet of the building, I can hear Muto yelling at Misha again, even across a hallway and through 2 doors. Shizune's eyes are locked on mine, unblinking behind the gleaming lenses of her glasses, observing my reaction to her words. This is a test. Her opinion of people is rarely formed from how they respond to questions. It is how they respond to statements that count. In hindsight, it makes sense. Shizune's inability to speak, as well as just her personality in general, means that anything she says is a big commitment on her part. Everything. For that reason, I sometimes doubt she says anything without a hidden agenda behind it. That sounds remarkably paranoid. Even Kenji would think so. Unfortunately, I'm so caught up in thinking about it that I forgot to give her an answer. She takes it as there not being one. There was an invisible time limit to this test, shorter than usual. Just as I thought. What do you mean? You don't agree? Not really. It's not that. I don't get it. I want to force my will on people. How refreshingly honest. Don't give me a weird look. It's not like that was always my intention. At first, I was just bored. I wanted to see someone's passion for something. Then I could try and beat them. I wanted to test their ability or their convictions. But it was impossible. No one has any passion for anything in this school. They just want to keep to themselves. I can't believe it. It's too boring that way. I thought that there was no way these drab people could be for real. It goes beyond not wanting to make waves. They had to have some interest. They had to be hiding something. I wanted to expose it and reveal it and drag it out. One of the most successful ways to get people to open up to you and cheer them up is to open up with a story about yourself, and then to ease them into telling you about themselves. It's like give and take, but with an element of manipulation, which makes it interesting. I can't do that. If I attempt to have Misha talk about me, for me, it makes me seem arrogant. The message has to go through a messenger. I'm standing next to Misha telling her to tell someone about me. You don't have to be able to read sign language to see that. If I were forced to sit through that, I would think I was arrogant too. I was frustrated. I couldn't figure out a way to have a conversation with anyone but Misha. No one would open up to me. I came to the conclusion that I can't make people confide in me or believe in me. I can only hope to create things and show them to people and hope they make them happy. Or I could be more forceful and hope it would eventually stick to someone. I guess that would be me. Feels vaguely depressing. Somewhere along the line, I think I started to ignore Misha or see her as less of a person or something like that. I took her for granted, I think would be the best way to put it. It was like she was just an extension of myself. I forgot that the whole time Misha was there, opening up to me and giving me 100% every day. I missed what I was looking for because it was in plain sight. How stupid of me. I really did become arrogant. That's why I've lost. I'm more short-sighted than I was back then. I went in reverse. She's pacing back and forth now, almost brooding, yet still filled with so much energy that she can't stand to stop moving. If you got her to hold 2 wires, I'm sure Shizune could power a light bulb. It's odd that I could have such a light-hearted thought while she's being so serious. And in spite of that, Misha tells me that I'm her inspiration. Isn't that ridiculous? I'm not the kind of person who can inspire others. Even if a person who inspires you is flawed, it can be acceptable. I've thought about this, then there is even acceptable hypocrisy. For instance, if your hero was an athlete, but unsportsmanlike, they could still be respected for their athletic ability, even if they had shortcomings as a person. However, she snaps her fingers briskly. It sounds like a thunderclap in an empty room, and Shizune takes a few seconds to stretch her fingers. Come to think of it, this is the most she's ever signed. If someone like me has no goals, it would be totally unacceptable. It'd be the worst kind of hypocrisy, and hypocrites don't reserve responsibility over anything. They can't even manage themselves. How incredibly pessimistic. It makes me angry to think about it. I would hate myself just a few months ago. This must be how I look to others. And funny enough, it was Shizune and Misha who convinced me to stop. Without them, I'm sure things would be much different and not for the better. Lately, I feel as though we pass around our miseries as much as we're supported by each other, but I think it just comes with the territory of having friends and being close to someone. You're the leader anyway. That is only because no one else wants to be. But that means you still are, since people are putting their trust in you anyway. In fact, doesn't that make it more important? Either way, you're the leader. You are the inspirational figure, and whatever you want to call it, you're responsible for what you tame. I read that in a book somewhere. That's clever. I know, that's why I didn't make it up. I read it in a book somewhere. You think I could think of that? I'm just a himbo. Shizune only thinks to show what she's feeling on her face when she wants to, but I don't think she's being sarcastic. I don't want to tame anyone, though. Being the leader and being looked up to, then, same thing. I never wanted to be the leader, it just ended up that way. I don't believe that. All you do is try to grab more and more responsibility. Wait. I wasn't going to tell you that I don't enjoy it. I don't care about being the leader, but I don't mind. I don't care about being the best, but I don't mind. You're right, though, about me wanting responsibility. Of course I want more responsibility. Having responsibility makes me feel alive. That's why I joined the student council. If there's no pressure, I just can't stand it. Even so, now I'm the leader. I always thought being the leader meant you give orders, but it really is more. It's about having a goal. If I don't have a goal, then it's pointless. People would only be following me for my own enjoyment. It would be selfish. It's a strangely moral viewpoint for a person who seems to love one-upping others so much. Resting her chin on her tinted fingers, Shizune looks disarmingly childish as she thinks hard about her problems. The expression on her face is a little comical because it's too obvious and therefore very unlike her. It comes with the job. I think you'd have to be a leader. You wouldn't be satisfied with anything else. You would just get bored. Shizune doesn't reply, but from her annoyed expression, I think I've guessed correctly. I've been thinking that I need a little direction too. Were you told that it's important to contribute to society? What an unusual response. It's so out of nowhere that I don't know how to respond. And it also bothers me, though I don't know why. Possibly because it doesn't seem like something that would come from her. So I start to think that it isn't Shizune's thought at all. I wonder who told her that. Well, that's probably her dad. But there is a chance that she came up with it on her own. If so, would it be because she can't hear? Why do you say that? Just because. I don't believe it. I guess that's right, though. I see. I don't know if it's the same for me. I hate it. I think everyone wants a purpose. Looking back, it makes sense that Shizune doesn't have one. All that energy would otherwise have been directed at something. Since she has nothing to channel it towards, Shizune lashed out in all directions. Reminds me of a downed power line flailing in a storm. Furious and incandescent, but aimless and dangerous, just like Shizune. I want to say that this is why she feels the need to turn everything into a competition, but that's probably just how she is. Having a goal to put that energy towards is just the next level. How about this? I could go into business. My family is well connected, so it shouldn't be too hard. That comes off sounding a little unethical and nepotistic, doesn't it? A little. I mean, if you have the nepotism, I guess use it. I won't coast though. I'll work hard until I'm the very apex. When I have as much money as possible, so much that it'll be like I won't know what to do with it. I'll move on to the next step, after sitting on it for a while, of course, like a fairy tale dragon. That's valid. You want to be a philanthropist. Tisk tisk. What were you thinking? That I want to be a miser? Well, it's true. It is part of the plan. Don't sell me short and stop there, though. Shizune still looks uneasy. Of course, even if she did seem to resolve her problem quickly, no one can get over their anxieties that fast. No one can solve their... Why did the music stop? No one can solve their problems that easily. The important thing is, it looks as though she has her heart set on trying. It's still hard to tell whether that drive of hers comes from a good or bad place. But she has something to hold on to now. I can genuinely believe that she does. I'm happy for her, and at the same time, I feel a little cold. I'm the one who's behind. Now I'm the only one without a goal. All right. Well, we got the we had the pee touch on the table. That was pretty whack. And we did student council stuff. Yeah. And I think that's it. And we learned about Misha getting classes, and Shizune has decided to invest in nepotism. And that's all. I thought maybe it would end after that, but it looks like there's more. Maybe this next part's gonna be the end. I really don't know. I feel like every time the thing says it's almost done, they're like, oh, here's more, and I'm like, how could there be more? What more could you possibly say to me? It seems like it's over. All the ties are loosed. Or wait, all the ends are tied. And I guess there are more ends that need to be tied. And we will see them in the next video.